card. Oh no, and I'm dropping stuff. And I'm picking stuff up. And I'm dropping other stuff. And I'm picking other stuff up. Oh boy. Hold on. This is a mess.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Last has been lost in the San Andreas Fault.
All right, take two. We're going to have an additional From the Files today. Surprise sneak attack. This is From the Files. This file is labeled the Tommy Rich Fan Club. Let me see if it goes this way or this way. It starts, okay.
Oh, I think it goes both ways.
October 11th, 1982. Norm Keitzer sends out two letters, one to Carol Barry, West Columbia, South Carolina. Dear Carol, I understand you operate a fan club for Tommy Rich. We would like to include it in our fan club section in the Wrestling News. Enclosed it's an application for you to complete so we may do this. Sincerely yours, Norman Keitzer. Same day, a letter to Karen Langley, Fairborn, Ohio. Dear Karen, I received your letter concerning the Tommy Rich Fan Club. Since Miss Barry has not filled out an application for listing it in our fan club section, since I have taken it over, I've written her for information about her club, and I will let you know what she says when I receive a reply from her. I don't know what that's... Oh, okay, this explains...
Well, now, and for the people who don't even understand this whole thing, in the old days in wrestling, going back to the 50s, fans, if a guy was wrestling in the Georgia territory, some fan from Columbus, Georgia would say, I want to run your fan club and be the fan club president. And the magazines would actually promote this if you provided them with a permission slip from the particular wrestler being honored, signed that, okay, it's okay for this person to run my fan club, which guys would do all the time or whatever, they didn't give a shit. But you would have different ones because the way the guys moved around until you got the real established fan club, like in the early 70s when it was probably the biggest deal it had been. Everybody knew that, this guy, the Pedro Morales fan club is run by so-and-so or whatever. And otherwise, you just get them when guys switched territories. Other people would want to start them. And meanwhile, the other fan in the other territory would lose interest because the guy had left. So it was always moving around.
Well, it seems this was prompted by a letter to Norm Keitzer from Karen Langley, October 8th, 82. I'm writing to you concerning a fan club, in particular Tommy Wildfire Rich fan club run by Carol Barry. In February 82, I sent $6 yearly dues to Miss Barry for what was supposed to be monthly bulletins, membership card, etc., etc. In April, I received a very nice letter from the West Columbia Postal Service containing it's hard to read. She's very nice cursive, but it's hard to read everything. The remnant of what had been a packet of pictures and who knows whatever. It's hard to read a little bit of this. Sorry, folks. They asked me, if possible, to tell them what the contents were so that they could try and find them. Since I had no way of knowing what it had contained, I returned the remnant and Postal Service letter to Miss Barry, hoping she would replace it. I, as of yet, have received no response. In May, I received Volume 1, Issue 9, February, March 1982. It was very nice. In August, I received Volume 2, Issue 10. June, July 82. It was also very nice. It included some Brad McFarlane photos of Tommy. I still have received no membership card. I wrote to Miss Barry offering to help her with her problem. Tommy comes to Ohio at least once a month, and I could help her out with pictures, etc. I also asked for the price list of McFarlane's pictures, but I've still received no reply.
Poor Brad McFarlane being drug into this. By the way, the world's only deaf pro wrestling photographer. He was also a manager, handsome Johnny Bradford, but he took great pictures.
I have written to Miss Barry a few times asking her to please send the membership card. The woman simply does. The woman simply does not answer letters from the members. Frankly, I'm beginning to be steamed. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. I know that Tommy Rich hasn't been on a Southern tour for quite a while, and it must be a pain to gather information on someone, she has no access to. But couldn't she at least send my card? She's making herself look bad. Would it be possible for you to contact her and maybe get this mess worked out? Also, do you have any addresses for other Tommy Rich fan clubs? Maybe I'll have better luck with one of them. I would really appreciate your help on this matter. Thank you for reading this. I hope to hear from you soon, Karen Langley. So then...
And that's the thing, is that people would take this task on and then it would be over their heads and they've got a real life or they're teenagers or whatever. But you'd get, a membership card, and you get the bulletins, which were Xeroxed, stapled together, do-it-yourself type of things. But Brett, I've told you how I became the Bob Armstrong fan club president, haven't I, before?
How you did? No.
And I won't mention this guy's name because he has actually written me in modern times, like in the last several years, that he's up in the north now and has a successful business. But I joined all the fan clubs that were plugged in the magazines because I wanted to get like autographed pictures, or I got one of Larry Zabisco from 1980 or whatever, and the bulletins and all the stuff. So I joined everything. Well, one of them I joined was the Bob Armstrong fan club, and this guy down in Ackworth, Georgia, outside Atlanta. He was the president, and he did the bulletins, and they were all the bulletins of the fan. Most of them looked like fan club bulletins, but every once in a while you'd come across a real sharp one. But anyway, I got about 4 or 5 or 6 of these, and then he wrote me a letter and said, "Hey, would you like to take over the fan club? I, don't have time for it. I'll send you the entire club treasury. And if you want to do this," I said, "Okay," because I wanted to do the bulletin, right? I'm a frustrated writer, magazine publisher, whatever. This is my first shot at that. Am I 16 yet? Maybe, whatever. So, and Bob also had just started in the Tennessee territory, so he's going to be around here. So I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And he sent me the entire club treasury. It was like $2.77. And I started printing these, doing these bulletins with my friend Walt Belansky. Sent all the results and everything from the WWWF, and somebody else would send the results from here and there, and I'd do Tennessee, and I'd have features, and I'd have pictures in there that I was taking at the time. I was starting to take pictures, and I would do them on legal size white copy paper, and with my typewriter, I would leave room to put the pictures in with double stick tape and all this stuff. And then it'd be 20 pages of legal size. My mom would drive me down. I didn't have a driver's license yet. My mom would drive me downtown to this copy shop she knew from working down at the Chamber of Commerce. And they do the fucking bulletin for like 3 cents a page, but it still was like $30 to have all these fucking bulletins done. So I think I did like 3 or 4 of them, and I'm like, fuck, I was making money taking pictures and spending money doing the bulletin, and something had to go. But it was fucking fun.
Here's a follow-up letter from Karen Langley to Norman. Dear Norman, hello again. Have you heard from Miss Barry yet? I highly doubt it. I still haven't heard anything. Maybe she left town. I had a brainstorm, and maybe you can help me. I figured that since Miss Barry is such a blank up with her club, maybe I should start my own here in the Dayton area. That leads to a few problems, and that's where you come in, I hope. I know that I would have to contact TR, obviously Tommy Rich, first, and get some kind of permission from him, right? The only address I have is World Championship Wrestling, Suite 110, 100 Techwood Drive, Northwest Atlanta, Georgia, 30303. If you think that Tommy Rich would get a letter from me out of the thousands that go through there every week and actually read it, is there another address that would be better? Maybe someone I could call. I tried calling the NWA in Atlanta. All I got was some dipstick, in quotes, who knew nothing except where the wrestlers were. I already knew that. I tried to get in to see him and get things started on this
I'm
club.
thinking, did she get like Charlie McGowan on the phone or something? He's like, go to the Omni on Friday.
But have you ever seen the size of the goon squad they have? It would be easier to see Ronald Reagan. Who would want to do that? Anyways, to make a very long and getting longer story short, I'm sincerely considering starting a Tommy Rich fan club, and anything you might be able to tell me would be much appreciated. P.S. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and in case I don't get a chance to tell you, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year too. Hope to hear from you soon, Karen Langley.
What about Valentine's Day? How'd she feel on that?
Norman Keitzer responded November 15th, 1982. First of all, as I told you earlier, we have never received an application from Ms. Barry, nor have we ever seen any material concerning her club. I wrote to her and received no answer. So other than your earlier letter to me, I'm not aware that she's even running a club. And since she doesn't answer my letter, there's no other way for me to find out. The address you have for World Championship Wrestling in Atlanta is the only one that I have. I would assume that Tommy Rich would receive any mail sent to him, care of that address, but I have no idea whether he's able to answer any or all of the fan letters he must receive. I do not have another address for Mr. Rich. I have enclosed an application for listing in our swap and sell section, but in order to start a fan club, you would need to first get that individual's permission, and I really am not able to help you more than that. I'm sorry to not be able to be more of help to you. Signed, Norman Keitzer. So Norman,
I've just typed into the Google machine Carol Berry and Tommy Rich, and I get Tommy Rich's Wikipedia and Carol Berry, who is a candidate from the Australian Labor Party.
I don't think it's the same one. Here's a letter from a third person, Kathy Schuster, Mansfield, Ohio. I wrote in a few months ago for an address for the Tommy Rich fan club. I received one newsletter and a picture. It said I would receive a newsletter a month. Mr. Keitzer, I spent $15 I could have used for a lot of other things. I called this number on my membership card, and it said the number was disconnected. I don't know if you could do anything, but I would like a fan club that won't rip off a Tommy Rich fan. Here's the fan club, and it's one in Gradenville, Michigan. I don't know if it's hard to read what you wrote here. Gradenville? The president is Sharon Kane. The vice president, Julie Damagood. I'd really like to join a legitimate fan club, not one who rips you off. Signed, Kathy Schuster. Boy, it's crazy hearing this. Like, just within this period of time, there are multiple fan clubs. There's no one delivering. Demand for more. And then here's a letter from Norman Keitzer to Sharon Kane. I understand that you operate a fan club for Tommy Rich. We would like to include all fan clubs in the Wrestling News magazine, which we publish. Encloses an application for you to complete and return. So he's just blindly mailing letters to fan club presidents. This is the response to Kathy. Nothing new there. And then here, we'll wrap it up with this pile. This is from 1983. Garrick Ballard. Dear Mr. Keitzer, I'm interested in placing an advertisement in your swap and sell column. Would you please send me an application? P.S. In October 1981, you listed Carol Barry as the official fan club president of the Tommy Rich fan club. After joining the club, I received only a few bulletins during my entire year's membership. The bulletins were supposed to be issued monthly. So another complaint there. And then,
Carol sounds like she's running a sloppy shop.
Dear Mr. Ballard, March 26, 83. Per your complaint concerning Carol Barry's Tommy Rich fan club, I can only answer by saying that since I have he left out the word taken over as fan club editor and required an application to be filled out by each club we list, we have never listed her club. I've had several complaints concerning her club. I've been written to her several times for an explanation, but I've never received any from her. I really don't know what else I could do. I suggest you file a complaint with the postal authorities if you cannot get satisfaction elsewhere. And then this is...
Now, according to this on the internet, Tommy Rich's net worth is $5 million.
Yeah, okay.
That's last updated on December 11, 2023. It's almost like you can't trust the internet.
And here's something from Garrick Ballard. It looks like it's a pitch for a Tommy Rich board game. I can't even read it. After I said those words, I can't read.
A Tommy Rich board game?
Game 1 is an exciting board game with Tommy wrestling against a variety of top Georgia area opponents, including Super D, Buzz Sawyer, Ivan Koloff, Iron Sheik, and Ric Flair. What happens to Tommy and the punishment he must endure depends on the squares you land on. Whether Tommy...
No, it depends. The squares you land on determine whether you're going to jail or whether you're going to be able to rent a rental car from that company anymore.
Whether Tommy wins or not depends on the way you roll the dice. Game 2 is a combination board and card game where Tommy wrestles the opponent of your choice. You advance Tommy on the board as he performs all of his favorite wrestling holds, but there are illegal moves by the opponent which hinder Tommy's progress. Whether he wins or not depends on your strategy and luck. Game 1, $4. Game 2, $4. Both games for $6.50. And here's his application. And there's then that's the Tommy Rich fan club. Information there. Any final... Oh, here's another... Oh, hold on. Here's one final one. Let me open this. August 29th, 1983. There's an envelope, and I thought it was empty. Dear sir, I would like an advertisement application for the Tommy Rich fan club I started. Signed by Carrie Bailey, the co-president, Ironton, Ohio.
Wait a minute, Carrie Bailey and Carol Berry? What kind of scam is this woman operating?
Yeah, I don't know, but there it is. From the fan club days, from the files, Tommy Rich.